Okay, so let's start. So what I'm saying that it's something which I call the dream comes true. And this lecture will be given on September 11, 2022. So, and here is a sentence from Bible that for each generation, everybody should think about himself as he left Egypt and came to the Holy Land. This is what happened on September 11, and most of my listeners on September 11 were not born by that time, and they really don't know what kind of horror it was. And the only comment that I want to say that those guys were not poor guys and they were not uneducated people. This is not a result of some kind of poor economical situation and so on. They did it because on their ideology, because aggressive Islam. It doesn't mean that Islam only is an aggressive religion or there is no some other ideas, but we should understand that this is the result of ideology. When somebody is talking about current ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, you should understand that this is not something which is Putin is responsible. It is the ideology of great Russia and imperial mind which drive this war. And today it's a peaceful place. People are coming there. It's nice park, but this was a horror, and the horror resulted from ideology. Here is my family, or part of my family. I have 3 children, and I have 7 grandchildren. I have PhD in mathematics from the Technion Israeli Institute of Technology, and I have another PhD in mechanical engineering from Tel Aviv University. I'm an author of a book. You can purchase on Amazon, but it's written in Russian. And the reason that it's written in Russian, that because what is written there is not acceptable by modern American society. And this book cannot be published in English. It is what is called politically incorrect book, and I'm politically incorrect. I'm a person who established several companies, all of them either successful, like Silverford now, or had exit. And this is the map of the world, and you can see that's in red. That's the places, countries where I visited. I had not been everywhere in the world. For instance, I had not visited Iran, but I hope that my Israeli friends visited Iran and not only once. So I still have some places to visit, and I hope that I will visit them. For instance, this year next year in January, I'm going on a small yacht, very small yacht, from Argentina to Antarctic, and we'll travel in Antarctic later. This is the house that I was born. This is the house built in 19th century. And this is the kind of internal document that every Soviet citizen had to handle. This is a document, and it's written in this document that you are allowed to live in particular city, in particular apartment. You will understand how it is important later in this lecture. But this is the house. Before that, it was the house where famous Jewish writer Sholem Aleichem lived, and He exchanged letters with Leo Tolstoy. Now I live in communal apartment. What does it mean, communal apartment? This is actually the apartment, which was once one apartment built in 19th century, which was divided between several families. Each family had 2 rooms, and they have a common kitchen. So this lady from one family, this family, the lady for another family, this guy is drinking morning tea from the 3rd family, and this lady on a stove is doing something that you cannot even imagine what it is. She is, there were no washing machine, and she is actually boiling dresses, like instead of washing machine. Now, this apartment had 1 bathroom, 1 toilet for 4 families, and absolutely no shower. So I took shower once a week. I went with my father, who was a professor. We went to the public bath house and we were bathing each week by Thursday. Now imagine what is it, 1 toilet to several families. My sister lived in an apartment with 11 families and for 1 toilet. So each family decided that they want to pay don't want to pay electricity for other people who are going to toilet. So each one put his own electrical bulb inside of the toilet. Now, because if this bulb will be burned and somebody will exchange 1 bulb to another, so actually stealing a good bulb, so everybody put some sign on their bulb, some color, red color or green color or yellow color and so on. So what is happening, the guys want to go to toilet, he needs light there, open the light, going to toilet, oh, it's busy, somebody else is inside. So it's going back home and close the electricity, switching it off. And so it means that if you are sitting inside of this toilet, you see lamps of different colors going up and down, and you feel like in a Disneyland. And what we also had in our apartment, very important, it's a radio. It's a German radio, Telefunken, which my father actually brought from the war. And we listen to mainly for Voice of America in Russia in order to see news, to hear news. And those are anti-Semitic caricatures in Soviet newspaper, always comparing Jews with Nazis. So you see this is the swastika, and this is the Magen David, and this is the Prime Minister Begin show. He's going to Beirut, and this also swastika. Everything with swastika always show a big nose of a Jew. And you can see here that in Soviet time, people sometimes didn't bought the newspaper, but this was a stand, newspaper stand. And these newspapers were on the stand, and people were reading newspaper standing nearby. And you can see also these pictures of, once again, Hitler and Jew. It's written here, Tel Aviv, very anti-Semitic pictures. The interesting thing that the guy who wrote most of this picture was also Jewish. He, the author of this caricature, died not a long time ago at the age of 108, and he was famous for his anti-Semitic pictures. Okay, so we, as a child, I was speaking only Russian. I never went to synagogue. I never celebrated Jewish holidays. I just was the same guy as other guys in my class, but they knew that I am Jew. They don't know what does it mean Jew. They never had said by themselves, they never went to church and so on, but they did hard time to me, they beat me, and then at some stage I and my friend Simon, we decided that we will run away to Finland. We were 9 years old, and we decided that we will build what you see on the picture. We will build an air balloon, and we will fly from Russia to Finland. And of course, our dreams never came true, but both Simon and me left Russia, went to Israel, but I didn't meet him in Israel because 3 months before I came to Israel, he was found with his rifle and the bullet in his head, and nobody knows exactly what's happened. So I was a winner of youth competition in mathematics in my city, in a big city, in Kiev, and I was number 3 in Ukraine, in 40 million country. Nevertheless, when I wanted to be accepted to the last 2 years of high school to the school number 145, this is on the picture, this is a school with extended study of mathematics and physics. I was not accepted. They said that it will be too difficult for me, but my Ukrainian friends were accepted. So I was not given an opportunity to study in school, and I studied in normal school, not in advanced school. But then when I finished school, I wanted to go to the best technical university, something similar. By that time, it's probably we're almost on the level of MIT. It's the Moscow Physical Technical Institute. And they had something, you had the entrance exam. And the entrance exam were in normal, like in written form. Everybody is coming, they have their problem, they are writing and submitting their test. But in addition to it, that was an oral exam, oral examination. It means that you're going, the examiner give you some problem, you have 20 minutes, and after 20 minutes, you can say you solve it or what you plan to solve and so on. So Jews were given problems that it's impossible to solve, not in 20 minutes and maybe in 30 minutes. And I have here an examples of 2 problems for school children. And I'm telling you, so when I prepared this presentation, I spent 1.5 hours for this problem and failed. So I don't know how to solve it, but the idea was that all problems are solvable in principle. Simply in 20 minutes, there is no chance that you will do it. So in a year, all Jews failed to this university, and I had to go to another university because in Kiev, where I was born, no Jews were accepted, absolutely none, 0. So I went to city which is called today Nizhny Novgorod. By that time it was a city called Gorky. It is 500, this is Moscow, this is Nizhny Novgorod, Kiev is somewhere here. It is about 350 miles from Moscow. And this is a city which was absolutely close to foreigners. You can see the city is quite nice. You can see on the picture. So no foreigner was allowed to visit this city because this was the city where they produce nuclear bombs, and the main, like Los Alamos was in this city, the Russian Los Alamos, it's called Sarov. They were producing nuclear submarines, and these submarines were transported through Volga River to Baltic Sea, but they were produced in the city, and they were producing their jet fighters. So it was absolutely military city, and they had also, in addition to it, they had a automobile industry. So I worked, not somebody else. I work on the plant where on one campus we had 100,000 employees. Okay, that's a place where I actually was forced to work there, and so at the just around 6-day war in 1967, one guy, his name was Yakov Kazakov, and I will talk about him many times. Remember this name, Yakov Kazakov. He did a personal demonstration, went to Israeli embassy with demand to give him Israeli citizenship. He was not giving on the spot. Then it was the Russia broke diplomatic relations with Israel, but somehow he got to Israel and he joined the army, and he was on this picture. He participated in Yom Kippur War, and his direct commander was Ehud Barak, who was later chief of staff and later prime minister of Israel. So the guy is a hero, and we will talk to him several times in the future. And some Jews started to protest and give us permission to leave Russia. You can see here the policemen going, and these guys written on there, they give us visa to Israel. And this is a guy about whom I will talk a lot. His name is Leonid Tsipin. Leonid Tsipin. I will talk to him several times. And so this is the starting point of awareness of people. We do not afraid communist regime. We want to leave. We want to go to Israel. And this is the KGB. KGB is the abbreviation of Комитет государственной безопасности, Committee of Government Security. And it has two divisions. One division, it's a spies outside of Soviet Union, and another division, which is like internal police. It's simply FBI and CIA in one organization. And then it was, it was impossible to leave Russia by all no means. And this is the group of people, young people, who decided that they will hijack a plane, a small plane, and will fly out of Russia. So the main person was the guy by name Kuznetsov. He was already once before that, he was spent 5 years in prison of anti-Soviet propaganda, and he is a leader of this group. And this guy called Dimshitz, this guy was a pilot. He had an experience being a pilot in the Second World War when he was 18 years old. And before this, and this is the lady who was the wife of, who was the only lady in the group. KGB discovered them before they even enter. They had been waiting on the airfield. They were arrested. These guys, she got 10 years in prison. These guys got 10, 15, and 2 guys got capital punishment. And at some stage, because of protests mainly in the United States, the capital punishment was exchanged to 15 years in prison. And then at some stage, all of them were exchanged to Russian spies in the United States. And here is this is the Kuznetsov, not probably last year, drinking vodka. I met him when he was just released, and he told me a story of his feelings when the judge announced that he got a capital punishment. And this is his wife. That time she's not his wife anymore. This is a lady, and she is a painter. She was an engineer working for Israeli aircraft industry, and then she at some stage resigned, and she's a painter and very interesting painter. But this attempt was well known to all Jewish population in Soviet Union, and it gave to people a feeling that we can do it. We should not afraid. Let's go and do it. And this is my cousin, who was one of the activists, and he left. He introduced me to the head of the Jewish movement in Moscow, Vladimir Slepak, and to the guy named Sharansky, who was later Vice Prime Minister of Israel, but by that time he was just activist. My cousin left Soviet Union before me. I met him when I came to Israel, and unfortunately, he died during his military duty. It was actually a car accident, but during the training. But so imagine I'm introduced to these guys who are already activists. I'm still not activist, and then somebody is approaching me in university, in my faculty. They say, okay, you should go meet somebody at room 437. I'm going to this room. The guy is open the door, close the door, and say, my name is Yuri Ivanovich Sankin. I'm former PhD student of your boss, but I'm KGB captain. Please sit down. At this moment, I thought that that's all. They will arrest me because I met Slepak, I met this activist. They will arrest me. But then the guy said, no, didn't mention it, and said, I wanted you will help us. There are a lot of students with the wrong ideas, anti-Soviet ideas. I want that you will, from time to time, you will talk to us and meet us. I said, I don't know. I'm afraid to say no. He said, okay, let's meet after 2 days in such and such place on the street. And of course, I didn't went to the street. I sent my friend, and my friend watched him and another guy who was talking. No, let's wait. This guy will come. And they said, okay, he's not coming. And nothing happened because there were a lot of people who would like to help KGB. So when I prepared this lecture, I decided to say, maybe this guy is still alive. And indeed, I found that he is alive. He had a business, and his business was that he somehow not really stole, but he got put hand on 127,000 guns, the guns from military, which was actually given to him for free by some of his friends. And he sold this for all kinds of illegal activities inside of Russia and outside of Russia. 127,000, and he got 5 years in prison. Relatively recently, he freed now, and his daughter got 3.5 years in prison because she was a part of the same deal. So from trying to recruit me to KGB to prison. Okay, so you want to go to Israel. Now the government of Soviet Union doesn't want that you to show that some people won't just live communist paradise. So they want to show that you are going to your relative. Of course, I and other people had no relatives in Israel. So it was some kind of a fake letters that were sent to Israel. I mean, not fake, letters were real, but what was fake, that people were not my relatives. They sent me a letter. I'm your second uncle, and please come to Israel to unite with me. This is one document. Another document was a letter from your works, from your employer. Now, it was done for the simple purpose. You want to go to employer and say, give me a letter for immigration. Immediately, employer fire you, and you are the guy without income. So that's what it. And the third letter is the most strange letter, the document that you had to have. This document is a permission from your parents that you can live. It doesn't matter what is your age. One of my friends is Slepak. He was 40 years old, and he had no permission from his father, 80 years old, to leave Russia. I had no permission to leave Russia from the father of my wife. And so I was stuck. And the only way for me somehow to leave Russia was to become troublemaker. And I decided to be a troublemaker, to give them a hard time. I had no choice. It's not because I wanted. I had no choice. This is the place called Babi Yar. In 1941, Jews who remained in Kiev, all my family left Kiev, were gathered by Ukrainians and by Germans. They transferred them to outskirts of the city, and they shot 50,000 people, because by that time it was no gas chambers. They shot 50,000 people in this place, and this is and then buried them all with sand. Only 3 people survived, and I knew personally one of them. So what Jews like me decided to do, what kind of troublemaking? There were no monument in this place in the memory of those who were killed, because government didn't want to say that Jews were killed. And so we were making like demonstration. We went with flowers to this place. It was an empty place, just to demonstrate that we are that we are solidary with these people. This is a letter from the head of KGB of the country with 40 million people to the head of the country. Don't allow to Stillman to go there. This is the original document that I got only 3 months, half a year ago. This is the original document, the real document. It's signed by the head of state. Don't allow to Stillman to go there, okay? I got it from one of the guys in Ukraine got access to the archive of KGB, and that's how I got it. So those are activists in Moscow. And this is once again Leonid Tsipin that I mentioned, the brave guy who showed me how he's followed by the KGB agent and how he's running and they're running and he's going there, and he showed me the whole game. And this is another guy with whom I will talk in a lens. His name is Lipavsky. Lipavsky. This is the last guy I have seen in Moscow before I left Soviet Union. He brought me, he has a car, and he brought me to the airport and said that we will meet in Israel soon. I hope that we will meet soon. What will happen later, I will tell you. But this is those are guys, the heroes. That's the house where I live in Kiev. It was not already communal apartment. It was apartment with the separate kitchen. It was our apartment, a bathroom, and shower. But it was a small apartment. It was apartment with 1 bedroom, where my parents, father and mother, me, my wife and daughter, we live. We live in one-bedroom apartment, 5 of us. And I found a job for hardware engineer in computer center. It was a place with computers. As you can see, it's the center of the city, Kiev. And this was not far away. It's by car, 7 minutes, by bus, electrical bus, it's 15 minutes. So I work here. It is important for my story. I live really well, but I already participated in several demonstrations that you can see in this Babi Yar and some others. So at some stage, the guys from KGB decided on psychological pressure. Each time I went out of my house, I had seen a black car with the driver and 2 guys. They had been waiting for me here. When I cross the street, go to the bus, they followed the bus. They went with me to this place where I work. The driver stayed in the car. One guy stayed on one entrance of the building and another for another building. They never touched me. They didn't touch me. But it was some kind of psychological pressure. Think about how crazy it is. I'm the guy who just want to get airplane ticket. That's it. And 3 guys, it's a full-time job to play cat and mouse with me. But I knew that at some stage something will happen, and I will get to this building. This is the building of KGB in Kiev, old building with a lot of places in downstairs and big underground. So, but at this stage, I just was threatened. Okay, and this is me, young boy, already with daughter, and I tried to went out always with daughter because I thought that if I will with daughter, they will not arrest me. Okay, so that's the idea. So we went with daughter to this to the Luna Park, and we are going in this Luna Park, and I see the downstairs. This is the actually Luna Park that I am talking about. I see 3 people, 3 men and 1 woman waiting for me. Nobody's around, and it's clear that I will be arrested when I will go down. So I went down, and the guy said, "Okay, so you decided that we will not take you because you are going with daughter." No, guy. This is the this lady will take care of your daughter, and you will go with us. So after some negotiations, they said, "Okay, you can leave for now, but remember that if you will behave not good, your daughter may stay without father." Okay, so let's go down. So one day, this is my apartment, and this is the one of the best hotels in Kiev. This is the central city, central street. I live, as you can see, 1.5 miles from this hotel. But that time I don't know hotel. 11:30 at night, somebody knocking and say in English, "Hello, I'm from Israel." You see, this is absolutely crazy because there is no diplomatic relations, so it is impossible. It's some kind of a game. And the guy said, "No, I'm really from Israel," and put it under the door. He put his ID. In ID written that he is the head of Israeli Judo Association. And then I have to believe, because it was a world championship of judo in Kiev, and I knew that the Israeli delegation will be there, the Israeli team. How I know? Because I got call from KGB and they say, don't go to championship. If you will approach this place, you will be arrested. Forget about it. So I understood that I will not get there, so there is no chance. So the guy entered and he told me the story. He was instructed by Israeli security that the guys who are watching him working only until 11 p.m. and then they go home. So he bought Russian dresses and some Russian bag. And 11:15 he left this hotel, and without without GPS and without the cell phone, just from the map, he went to my apartment. So we had a nice conversation with him, and then we met him once again. But that time I was watched by KGB, and they put me. They had a warrant to arrest me. They went to that building, and after interrogation for about 5-6 hours at night, they let me go. But what is interesting that I found this guy. He's in Israel. He's 89 years old, and I called him just several days ago. And when I was interrogated, they said that he is, he's a spy, and he's pretending that he's from judo. And the last time he was in Soviet Union, he pretended that he is a musician. But he indeed came to Israel as a part of chorus of kibbutz and so on. And they found a document in, this is a translation of document with his name and when he was born and what he attempted to bring religion, literature, and so on. So it is, a secret document from KGB. And then a lot of stuff. For instance, this is the guy. This guy doesn't allow me to use his name. He lives in United States. I talked to him. They cannot reveal his name. But by that time, he was a student in the university, and all students are not going to the army in Soviet Union. And then he applied to emigrate. He was thrown from university, and he was subscribed to the army. And he said, "No, I will not go to the army." He was put on trial and got 3 years in labor camp. And in order to show that we do not afraid and to demonstrate, we decided with my friends that we will go to the Central Post Office in Kiev and will send the telegram to the head of KGB, Andropov, the guy who was later head of state of Soviet Union. We will go and saying this, we want our friend to be released immediately. So we went to this building, but when I approached this building on the entrance, already KGB agents were here because one of us was their man. And they said, "Look, don't sign it. Don't go inside. You have a daughter. Don't sign it. You will see very bad things will happen to you if you will go inside and you will sign this telegram." And I said, "Okay, I don't care. I don't care what are you saying me." We entered there. We showed to the lady our ID cards because she afraid to put on telegram such offensive telegram to the Soviet Union, but she wrote our names. When I left, when I step out over here, already black car was waiting for me. And 2 guys started to shout, "Enter the car immediately." I said, "No, I will not go." "No, what? Show me your ID. Show me the order." "What does it mean? We are from KGB." No, I will not go. I don't care that you are from KGB. If you don't have order of arrest, I will not go with you. And they started to shout to the whole crowd around, I don't know who those people. They them show their ID. I don't know. It's maybe criminals. So they were so shocked at this situation that they jump into the car and run away. And I also ran away, probably run for a mile somewhere. Then I understood, anyhow, I cannot do anything. They can get me. So I can do whatever I want, but finally they will get me. And because of my activity, my picture was in a synagogue. As you know, I'm not a religion guy, but I wanted to go there, but my picture was on the entrance as a person who is forbidden to enter. I also was forbidden to enter any library because I gathered document for protection, legal document for protection of my friends. So in some places, and my picture was on the airport and train station with the police that I will be controlled if I want to leave the city. So one day, my neighbor, and this is once again my building, said to me, are you going to leave? And of course, I'm afraid to say to neighbors that I'm leaving the country, right? So I said, to leave, where to leave? He said, for 3 months. Okay, this is better. That, yeah, why do you think that for 3 months I'm leaving? Yeah, something strange. Police came to my house, to my apartment, and said that you are leaving for 3 months and you want to have a centralized electronic alarm security. They put wires through my apartment to your apartment. And indeed, that was electrical outlet. I opened this electrical outlet and they found a microphone of KGB there. And I didn't touch it because one of my friends touched device and he was beaten by agents immediately. I used to go to this place with the microphone and saying, good morning, Mr. Brezhnev, how are you? Everything is okay, and so on. But this microphone was stay in my apartment. Now, this is also I got from Archive KGB. This is the actually card of, sometimes it can be agent or some guys whom they are watching. So the name, address, his nickname, each one of them has nickname. For instance, this guy, his name is Kim, but his nickname is Fima. And the interesting is who signed it, who was responsible for the whole operations against Jews. It was the guy by name Brukhanov. I remember that when he interrogated me, he had some kind of small plate with Magen David here, and each time he was smoking, of course, during our conversation. He put inside on the enter these cigarettes and show how he hate these symbols of Israel and Jews. And then once again, you remember this document. This document is about internal document, and this is the stamp that you allow to live in certain place. Somehow KGB got indeed a legal case that I'm not allowed to live in the apartment of my parents. So the policeman came to my apartment. I had a fine, a substantial fine, because I live in an apartment where I'm not supposed to live, and I had no other apartment, right? So, and then they did it second time. After the second time, if you will be found third time, it's 2 years in prison. So I asked my friend to buy 2 tickets. One bus ticket from Kiev to one station outside of Kiev, and 1 train ticket from that station to Moscow. Why so? Because my picture was, I was not able to go to the train station. So what I did, I took a bus from my apartment to Central Bus Station, Kiev Central Bus Station, and on this they follow me, this black car, but they lost me here because a lot of people. When I came in the last moment, and in the last moment I jumped into the bus. I went with this bus to this station, and from this station I went to Moscow. And in Moscow I had a arranged place where I stay inside. I was going outside of apartment only at night, and at some stage KGB called my mother and said, okay, we know that he's in Moscow. We want that he will come back. If he will come back, I promise you that we will allow him to leave. But if he will not, I don't know what will happen. And so after some consideration, I decided I have no other choice. I was not sure that they know exactly where I was, but they definitely knew that I'm in Moscow. And they would find me, and there they would put me in prison on that I live without the permission. So I went back, and some days or maybe a week after I came back, I got a call that I should arrive to the immigration office. And the immigration office, they said that you should go to this room. I went to this room. The guy said, hello, I'm not from immigration office. I'm telling you, I'm from KGB. So you see, we would like that you will work with us. That you know, if you don't want, we will allow you to immigrate. But it will be a tough life, and I don't go to Israel. It's a poor country, bad climate, and so on. But if you decided to, once again, not to work well, but we want to give you a good life, and we prefer that you will go as our agent, and of course we will give you proper training to Europe. If by some reason you don't want to go to Europe, you can go to United States. As you know, United States accept all Jewish immigrants from Soviet Union. And if you don't want to go to United States, you can go to Israel. So your life will be better. We will introduce you to proper people. You will work in science. Everything will be okay. Just let us know. This is my phone. You can call me. Take your time. Call me when you will decide. So after a couple of days, they called me, said, okay, so, you know, it's probably not for me. You should find somebody else. I'm sorry. So goodbye. And indeed, I got a permission. This is the historical document. I was interrogated during almost 20 years. I was interrogated in Israel by Israeli security because they said, we don't know why the guy like you didn't went to prison. Why they decided to let you go. And here is the answer. This is the original letter that I got just before war started in Ukraine. This is the letter from the head of KGB to the head of the state. Release 5 people, among them Stillman, in order to decrease pressure on security forces. Okay, this is so my strategy that I should be a brave guy did work. Of course, it's a chance. You can get to prison, but in my case, it is I got a permission, and this is a document. Why? Signed by the head of state. So when we came to outside of Russia in Vienna, it was 2 choices. It was a Jewish organization called Hayes, which helps to immigrant and say you can go to United States, Australia, Canada, whatever, we will help you, or you will go to Israel. Among 40 people on the plane, 40 families on the plane, only 2 families, including me, went to Israel. All others went to other places, mostly to United States, but not only to United States. And I live in this place called Canada House in town Ashdod. I learned Hebrew, and after that I went to my study and so on. So for half a year I live in this place, full board, and 6 hours a day learning Hebrew. But I left behind my friends. Here are the friends that photograph of that time. This is the Sharansky, and I will tell about each one of them. This is the guy, his name Edelstein. Edelstein, I will talk about him a lot. This is the guy called Edelstein. This is the guy who called Slepak, I showed you already. This is the Sharansky, I told you already. This is the end. Some of these people were arrested, some of them were in prison, and some of them did not, and some of them went to exile. This guy, 3 years in exile in Siberia. This guy, 3 years exile in Kazakhstan. This lady, 5 years exile in Siberia. This guy, 10 years in prison. This guy, 3 years exile in Kazakhstan. This, nothing happened to him. This, nothing happened to him. This, nothing happened to him. So it depends. And those are children, poor children that were experienced, all kind of searches, police at night, and so on. One of these guys was later my PhD student. But I left behind people, and all these people are photographed when I left. And as you can see, some of them went through really, really, really hard time. So how people they put in prison? Some of them were hooligans. Some were crazy stuff. Some of them were because they distributed Hebrew books. It was anti-Soviet propaganda. Some of them went to prison because they didn't work. And if you're not working, it's a criminal offense in Soviet Union. You should work. If you're not working, they were unable, nobody wanted to give them job. But it's anyhow, this is defense. Some of them were accused of illegal trade. This is the, like a children place, right? So one of my friends who was later got PhD and got the prize of Israel for his military research. He was accused of the following. He was arrested on this place. And then on a trial, one guy said, I had seen him urinating near a children's place. I told him, stop urinating, and he didn't. So I went to another place and I brought a policeman. When policeman came, this guy still urinated. I think that he should be punished hardly. My friend spent 2 years in prison by accusation of urinating here. And here is Sharansky. He was accused of being CIA spy and was exchanged for Soviet spies. Here he's with the 2 prime ministers of Israel and his wife. So that's what's happened. And here you remember this picture. I show you this picture when we went to Babi Yar to put flowers. And this is the book published later on, years after I left. This book published about bad Zionists. This is published by this guy. He was KGB agent who reported everything I did and my friend did. And he published a book, 180 pages, called Steep Stairs, and about his activity. And you remember those guys whom I'm proud of, who showed me. This guy Leonid Tsipin was KGB agent. He was revealed by my friend, and later he was interrogated some other anti-Soviet activists. And this guy, who was very nice, he was also KGB agent. His name is Lipavsky. He was KGB agent who actually put Sharansky, who later was minister, vice prime minister of Israel, he put him 10 years in prison. He wrote, this is his picture later on, he changed his name, he'll still live in Moscow, and he wrote a letter. It's what letter to the Soviet government, letter to the Congress of United States, copy to the Congress of United States, copy to United Nations, my open letter, was recruited and so on. And this is called Top Secret. It's actually what I found. It's a journal of KGB, internal journal of KGB, telling the story how they recruited him and how they implanted them in with Jewish activists. His nickname was Agent Ervin, and that was an operation of including. They was successfully put him in touch with the head of a CIA station in Moscow. So it was not absolutely not true that people were not. He had contacts implicitly. Sharansky indeed had contacts with CIA. So this was cooked. And suddenly, Soviet Union collapsed. And you remember this guy? I said, remember his name. His name is Yakov Kazakov. He changed his name to Israeli name Kedmi, called Kazakov Kedmi. And he actually head of one of the security agents in Israel called Nativ. It's like, like another, not like NSA, but just another agency. And he made an agreement. You remember that it was when I came, only 2 families came to Israel and the rest to United States. Israel was interested in these new immigrants and United States not. And he reached an agreement with United States that these people will not allow to go to United States or to other countries. And this guy was responsible to bring 1 million Russian immigrants to Israel and sharply increase the population of Israel. So this was his operation. His name is Kedmi, and that's what he did. And what happened with the guys who were arrested? This guy it said his name Edelstein, he became head of parliament in Israel. This guy who was 3 years in Kazakhstan became professor of Tel Aviv University and the member of parliament. This guy, Sharansky, became vice prime minister of Israel and wrote many books and so on. This guy, Slepak, worked with me in Tel Aviv University. This guy worked for Weizmann Institute, Lerner. And what is this guy, Christian priest? This is the father of this guy. So this guy is the head of parliament in Israel, and this guy is his father, a priest in small village in Russia. Even today, he's 90 years old, and he priest in a small village. Now, what is happening this year? In Israel, there are a lot of words about right-wing anti-Semitic stuff. This is nonsense. There are, of course, right-wing, left-wing, whatever. Those are pictures. The pig with written Mossad. It's on one of the exhibition in Germany. This is National Association for Advancement of Colored People with the caricature on Jews. To learn who rules over you, simply found out who are not allowed to criticize, sharply anti-Jewish. This is from New York Times, showing Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. And this is in anti-Semitic campaign in Japan. As you can see, swastika, Nazis symbolic in Israel. So it's all going on. This is the building of Fiverr. It's a Nasdaq company which allows you to go work cheap to some people. Let's say you want design of something, or you want a website, or you want to put a voice on your presentation and you need a good voice and so on. For peanuts, you can get it from Fiverr through internet. So I asked one lady to provide me with graphical work. She did the bad work. If you can say, okay, I reject this work. In this case, she will not get money, but you will not get money back. Money will stay with Fiverr, and in the future you probably can use it. But so I rejected. I said, I was polite. I said, you probably did design for B2C, and this is B2B. This is what she wrote to me. Well, that's why we other people do not like Jews. Thank you for a reminder. She wrote me on a internal messenger inside of Fiverr. So she was so stupid to write it inside. Of course, I reported to her. So. And this is some statistic. And the interesting thing that the less anti-Semitic country among Muslim countries is Iran. Another funny thing is that 18%, that's people in 100 countries. It's a poll in 100 countries. 75% never met Jews, and 18% said the Jewish population of the world is 700 million Jews in the world, while in reality it's 13.7. And this is, you remember Kedmi, right? This is the guy. He is the chief propagandist on Russian television. He is Putin supporter, very popular. Every Russian knows his name by heart. He is appearing in thousand people in all kind of events, and this is a prime time. He in the last his appearance, he said that as Israel is not, if Hezbollah is doing something to Israel, Israel hit Iran, and he said if Ukrainians are doing something to Russian army, you hit Americans. Don't afraid of Americans. Hit America. Do not afraid of nuclear bomb. You have such territory that you will survive. America will not survive, but you will survive. The extreme anti-American propaganda on Russian television. This is a former head of Israeli security service, and the hero who brought million people to Israel. So what I say, I think about anti-Semitism as night. You cannot do something with night. Night will happen anyhow. So you can locally solve your problem. You have electrical light, you have light on the highways, and you have light at home. So you can live. I think that I can live it, no problem with this. Do not believe people. I mean, don't be so suspicious, but everybody can be traitor. It can be your wife, it can be your friend. Everybody can be traitor. But do not afraid of black cars. Fuck all black cars. Do not afraid of them. And what I can say, that some people are changing with time, and something can happen. It's not clear, let's say, so what happened to Kedmi. It can happen to any of us, and we change with time my life. Now, this is by the end, what I want to say, that this is by red, I mark here countries that were not existed when I was born. So in Africa, it was only 3 countries, South Africa, Ethiopia, and Egypt. It was no Kazakhstan, no Malaysia, no Papua New Guinea, no Cambodia, no Bangladesh. There were no Bangladesh. There were no Austria. Austria was not existing by the time I was born. No Ukraine, no Latvia, no Lithuania, nothing. So what I can say to Israelis, that one day your country may not exist. So if you will not fight, and if you will not work well to build a strong country, if you will not marry and get several children, you can disappear, like Yugoslavia disappear, or Soviet Union disappear, or something else, and another country will be born. So don't take existence for granted. But what I want to say that altogether, people sometimes say life is not a picnic. No, I think that it is a picnic. And I enjoy this picnic. I enjoy running from KGB, and I enjoy running after the terrorists in Sinai Desert. And I enjoy studying for PhD, creation companies, and selling companies. And I wish that you will enjoy. Everything depends on you and only you. Okay, this is what I want to say to you. Just 1 second. I stop share and I